aliens wouldn't do Hello. Hold on. I hope there's anybody here. Boom. Chat. Boom. 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 And we are here. Okay, I've got the chat here. Dr. Jones is here. Hello, Dr. Jones. How are you? Dr. Jones, how are you? You have saved this stream. We're going to be talking about various things, Dr. Jones. Don't worry. They're going to be super serious and with proper etiquette, as always. As you can see, I've been doing some cleanup and I've decided to increase my presence in the things that I have. As in, whoa, what the hell? My water just fell down for no reason. What the hell? My guard from my microphone just fell out. What is this? Cursed. Why is everything so cursed? Okay. So, I did an update on the Patreon, on which I did an announcement about those little history things. So, I started reading a book. But also, it's going to be intertwined with more real life things. You know? This is going to be intertwined with real life stuff, filming. Because I grew up in a place that was a ghetto. I grew up in Warsaw, and you had the Warsaw ghetto, so, you know. It's a whole thing. So we have... Ooh. Excellent. I have posted a thing on Patreon, and I have posted a thing on Coffee. Do you know my Coffee? So that's a thing. But nobody has... I don't think many people has seen the Coffee thing. I should post more on these social medias. And of course, I did Twitter today. But my Twitter is basically invisible. Okay? I don't think many people actually see my posts on Twitter. My Twitter posts are like... I got 425 followers and... Yeah, not many people see my Twitter stuff. At all. It is Twitter. I mean... Yeah, but it's still a social media thing. Not many more people see me on Blue Sky, okay? And what else is there? What else is there other than Twitter and Blue Sky? Not much. There's not much else. Like, people that write stuff like "you booze, you snooze" get more stuff on Blue Sky than me, okay? Girl who's broke for 3 days. I don't know. It's weird. On Blue Sky, I just get zero anything. Zero, what do you call it? Engagement. I guess I just have to be more consistent with stuff. And maybe then the gods of the social media will bless me with some form of... Hello, News Lucy, says Simon Pierre Dubé. Hello, hello. Simon, have you seen my Twitter post? Have you? No, not Twitter. It's more important thing is the... Have you seen my a Patreon post? I made a Patreon post, which reminds me that my Patreon lowest tier is just $1. Hold on, I'll share the new post. Where's the... There you go. I also did a coffee post. Paste. I also did a whole coffee post because I decided that I need to do more social media stuff. I'm going to start a thing on Patreon. It's going to be Patreon exclusive stuff where I'm going to do little history essays. And I've already decided on the first topic. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to do some filming about that tomorrow because I've got errands in the city. And that is the perfect opportunity for me to whip out the camera and do some filming. Does that make sense? It does. Yes, yes, yes. If I could get... Let's see. I'm trying to revive these things. The first post I wrote on... I used to have like $100 from Patreon, actually. And Chad Logic was very angry about it. My first post on Patreon was from April 20th, 2022. And ever since then, I wrote absolutely nothing on Patreon. And my first post was in 2022 on Patreon. The hello everyone. Okay. I will greet you and etc. And then I wrote nothing for years. And now I wrote a new thing today on it. It's doozy. Okay. And I of course added artwork. I would like to remind everybody that's actually here that one of the main perks that my Patreon gives, that every amount that you pledge on Patreon becomes a discount on commissions for art. So if you pledge, I don't even know what the amounts there are on tiers. Hold on. Dashboard. So I know that the lowest tier is $1. Then there's the $10 tier. There's the $5 tier. $1, $5, $10, $20, $35 is the highest tier that I offer. So if you pledge $35, then each month you can commission a piece of art for $35. That's basically my claim to fame, big perk that I offer. Isn't that interesting? We're going to be talking about a very shitty situation today. A very shitty situation has been brought to my attention. And it needs my immediate intervention. And by intervention, I mean we need to talk about it. Because it relates to my favorite state of all time. I think we might even play the music, okay? Because it is so sad that I feel like we need to play the music first, okay? Because it's the saddest news and I don't know, it's very shitty, so... We'll play the music first. Dr. Jones has actually, I think, brought this to my attention. There you go. We listen to the hymn because there is a very sad situation that is happening. Very sad. Okay, we won't hear you listening to the full, but it is very sad what has happened. You could call it a disaster on a... Why do you hate me? What the hell, Simon Pierre? Okay, listen. There has been the biggest sewage leak in the US history, and it's between DC and Maryland. It has entered the city of... It has entered the river of Potomac. I'm not even... Listen, we're gonna watch a video of a person that has reported on this kind of... Well, not reported. That has made a video going to the site, and they're gonna be saying the name. It's a situation, let me just say. What we know about the massive sewage leak in the Potomac River. Okay? The biggest sewage leak in American history, apparently. The millions of gallons of shitty water has entered the river between DC and Maryland, and it's just contaminated it. And there's more coming. Apparently, fixing the pipe that it went out of is gonna take weeks. Potomac. Listen, Potomac River. It's gonna take weeks to fix this mess, and I would call this an environmental disaster for sure. There's probably fish in that river that are gonna die or already died. There's contamination of the water. There's contamination of the soil. It's just, what a mess. It could now take months. I'm sorry. Did I say weeks? The article has corrected me on the record immediately. There's been so much laughing about the sewers exploding in Russia. When I've been given this video about shitty water, I thought, wait, more Russian news? No, it's in the US. It could now take months to repair a broken sewer pipe that pumped millions of gallons of water, of wastewater into the Potomac River, about 8 miles from the White House. The damage is worse than initially thought after officials found a massive blockage in the ruptured pipe. Potomac? Hello, Vezon. Yeah? DC Water, the local authority that operates the pipe, said Friday that there is a risk of limited overflow of wastewater until repairs are completed. Listen, now Maryland has water with shit in it, not just lead, okay? Approximately 243 million gallons of wastewater has overflowed from the pipe that collapsed on January 19th in Montgomery County, MD, according to a release from DC Water. That translates into 368 Olympic-sized swimming pools worth of sewage. 368 Olympic-sized swimming pools worth of shit, in other words, and piss and other things. The brunt of this surge happened in the first 5 days, before interim bypass pumping was activated, a system that reroutes sewage around the damaged section. Analysis of Potomac River flow data indicates that the estimated peak discharge of wastewater, approximately 40 million gallons per day, represents about 2% of Potomac River's total flow during that period. That statement reads, 2% of the entire river flow was shit and piss. I feel like there is a environmental crisis. I really do. What happened? Why did the pipe fracture? What happened to the maintenance? Isn't the US the richest country in the world? Couldn't they maintain a pipe? A sewage pipe? Was that really such a problem? Was it really such a impossible task for the local, I don't even know who takes care of that, the local sewage maintenance crew to take care of? The collapse occurred along the Potomac near the Chesapeake in Ohio Canal. While trying to repair the collapse, DC Water found a large rock dam blocking the sewer pipe. How did this happen? How was this allowed to happen? We're going to see some footage of the river itself. Removing the boulders and large rocks will require heavy machinery. So there was I don't know, did some rocks collapse on the pipes and that caused the damage? Was there a rock slide? Manual labor and additional equipment coming in from Florida and Texas. It's said this process is estimated to take 4 to 6 weeks. And in the meantime, the sewage will just leak into the river continuously. DC Water's spokesperson Sherry Lewis said in an email on Saturday that the company will not be able to assess the damage and determine a timeline for a full repair until the blockage is removed. According to the Friday statement from DC Water, until the pipe is fully repaired, there's still residual risk of additional overflows, but those are expected to remain minimal. I mean, the damage has been done. Millions of gallons of wastewater is already in the river, but those are expected to remain minimal. The Water Authority also said that since February 1st, E. coli concentrations downstream of the collapsed site have remained within the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's acceptable range for primary contact recreational activities. However, clean water advocates are calling on public officials to issue a public health warning. I mean, apparently the amount of bacteria and stuff is thousands of times levels beyond the norm. People who want to know if the river is safe. Right now, the Potomac River is not safe, wrote Betsy Nicholas, president of the Potomac Riverkeeper Network. In a statement, the group, working in collaboration with University of Maryland scientists, said that the water testing from samples collected 9 days after the pipe collapse show fecal bacteria level more than 2,700 times the safe limit established by Maryland and Virginia. 2,700 times above the safe limit of fecal bacteria levels. Because so much shit has been pumped into the river. And piss, of course. I just felt like this is such a huge event, environmental event, that I just had to talk about it. Because knowing creators, nobody will talk about it. People will be far too afraid to talk about a thing like that. Okay? People will not have the guts to talk about the shitty business that is this spillage. And also there is a video that I've been given. This video. The poop water situation is crazy. There's just not an article. We'll be able to see the site itself. Thanks to this brave soul. Thanks to this brave
YouTuber.
YouTuber.
You're looking at 200 million gallons of raw, untreated sewage flowing straight out into the Potomac River here right between Maryland and DC. This is an absolute disaster. It smells awful here. I can't believe this is happening. This is one of the largest sewage spills in U.S. history, apparently. That's what
A catastrophic sewage spill described by officials as one of the largest in U.S. history.
the reports are saying. So it's safe to say the poop situation is crazy.
Well, you may be asking, what am I doing here? Well, our nation's capital had one of the largest sewage spills in U.S. history. What do we know? Well, on January 19th, a major sewer line in Montgomery County collapsed, and the wastewater is now entering the Potomac River while repair work is underway. Okay, so that's bad. But how bad is it? Well, days later, they're still working on it. So this thing is just free-flowing right into our river with, not much stopping it. And the estimates are above 500 million gallons of sewage water has been poured out into the Potomac River. Awesome.
Wow.
And just to put this all into perspective, the Potomac Riverkeeper tested E. coli levels in the river, and it was found more than 11,000 times the safe limits near the spill. And
Well, never mind. My article was out of date. The data in the article that we just read was just out of date. It's far worse than I thought. It's far worse than I read. It's and I thought that was an environmental disaster with the outdated data, but with the new data, it is definitely
60 times the safe limits 4 miles downstream. Awesome! That's exactly what we needed. And since this wasn't really being talked about anywhere, and everyone I talked to it about hadn't even heard of it, I decided to go over there and check it out for myself.
All right, I thought this was going to be a really hard thing to find, but no, this is just right off the main road. There's clearly a lot of construction workers here. All right, so it's Saturday, January 24th. We're about 4 hours till one of the worst blizzards in many decades are going to hit the Washington, D.C. area.
And so we're
which, by the way, means that there's going to be a lot of frozen poop and pee in the river.
road crews are working around the clock to clear roads that still, man, look like this. But now, more than 2 days after the storm ended, some residents across the DMV say plows never came.
And I've traveled out here to DC to investigate the poop situation because currently, right now, one of the worst sewage spillages in US history is happening right here in the Potomac River. So I just realized I'm now spending my Saturday looking for a...
And nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about this situation. Why? Why aren't the big streamers talking about it? I don't get it. This shitty situation should be discussed at length, and its repercussions for the environment.
Leakage. Huh. Maybe some plumbers out there can relate to that. But last time I was freezing.
Okay, I pre-watched some of it, and he just complains about not being able to buy good gloves. So let's see him go to the actual site.
Sewage that have leaked out into this area over the past couple of days, with way more to come if it's not fixed immediately. Obviously,
and it's gonna be fixed in months, so it's not gonna be fixed immediately. So there is more to come.
There's a full construction crew up there working on this, so I'm sure they're trying their best. But wow. Okay, so I mean, I am smelling it right now as I'm walking this way. Oof.
Oh yeah, and also it's going to affect any wild. I'm not sure if there's any wild. It looks like there should be some wildlife here, right? There's the forest. There's a forest around the river. There's all sorts of stuff. Okay, there's all sorts of stuff here.
Oh, why did I?
This is gonna affect the animals as well.
Not bring a mask. Oh, this is putrid. Oh, this smells awful. All right, so I'm standing here on the border between Maryland and Washington, D.C. And as you can see by some of the signage here, we have raw sewage running straight out into the Potomac. To be accurate, 200 million gallons of raw sewage has ran out in the Potomac River right here over the last couple of days, with a whole lot more on its way. if it's not fixed as soon as possible. I probably should have brought...
And it will not be fixed as soon as possible. We already know that it won't be fixed as soon as possible. We already know that.
like some basic equipment to protect myself from this, like a mask, maybe some like plastic, what are they called, like footies that I can remove off so I'm not carrying this into the car I have. I don't know. I just saw the biggest sewage leak, or potentially the biggest sewage leak in US history, and I was like, well, we gotta go cover that, because I still, like, there's like no mainstream news outlets is actually covering.
Yeah, make America healthy again. How the hell did this happen? It feels like there was some landslide. There's some rocks in that pipe. How did this? How was this allowed to happen in the biggest, richest country in the universe?
This right now, from what I've seen, there's only been like local DC news talking about this. This is literally one of the biggest leaks ever. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, and do you know what is even crazier? That the only streamer that is talking about it is a Polish streamer on the other side of the globe. Okay, let that sink in. A micro streamer from a country from the other side of the globe is talking about this. Even though it should be talked about all the, I don't know, all the prominent US streamers should be talking about this leak, okay? Let me see. What caused the sewage leak into Potomac River? What caused it? How do I... There you go.
What caused it? Whose fault is it? And what does this mean for the future? So we had to go to our resident expert, Mark Seagrace, to get all the answers.
Oh, hey, Amelia.
Oh, hey,
What
Mark.
a pleasant surprise.
All right, this sewage spill, it's disgusting.
300 millions of gallons of raw sewage at a minimum directly into the Potomac
At a minimum.
River, and it's not fixed yet. DC, Maryland, or Virginia, your drinking water is safe. So that's an incredibly important message to get out there. And two, DC...
It would be pretty shitty if the drinking water was full of shit, wouldn't it? It would be pretty bad.
DC Water has been working around the clock.
What happened?
This is this massive, what they call an interceptor connector pipe, and it has been in use for decades as aging infrastructure that was in line for some upgrades. Unfortunately, those upgrades didn't come soon enough, and for whatever reason, we don't know the cause yet, there was a rupture in this pipe, and it created a river.
Oh, we don't know the cause yet. There was just a rupture. What happened to the maintenance?
A small river flowing incredibly swiftly. We've shown video of this, and that's how this river of sewage made its way directly into the Potomac River.
But who's at fault?
So right now we don't know what actually caused the rupture. Was it the cold weather? Was it construction in the area that was being done?
Why does this worry you?
What kind of a question is that? Hey, why does 500 million of sewage spilling into a river worry you? Why should we care about the devastation of the environment?
Oh my gosh. Well, look, now the problem is you still have 300 million gallons of raw sewage that was pumped into the river.
Yeah, why does that worry you? Huh? What the hell?
This is a national story, and it's certainly a story that has huge impact on all of us in the Channel 4 viewing region. It's certainly the largest sewage spill in our lifetimes in the Potomac River, maybe in the history of the United States.
This sewage spill, what caused it?
Okay, do we really not know what caused it? It's impossible. Okay, Baltimore Sun. Oh, the Baltimore Sun is not available in my region, I'm afraid. I'm afraid I cannot read the Baltimore Sun. National news. We really don't know. After days, we don't know what happened. Hello, Greater Rain. We actually still don't know how that happened. Okay, let's see what Fox 5, I guess. Where is it? Is this from today? Like, I just want to know how it happened. There you go. This is from February 6th, though. It's old. More than 2 weeks after collapsed sewer line sent massive amount of sewer water into the Potomac River, crews hit another setback when a large rock. We already know about this. Isn't there something new about this? It didn't happen today. It happened days ago. It happened on the 19th of last month, the rupture. And 500 million gallons of sewage water spilled into the Potomac River. And nobody's talking about it, okay? Nobody's talking about the biggest sewage spill into a river in US history. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about this shitty situation. I just want to know more. I just want to know who to blame for this. I just want to know some update on the river situation. February. Okay, this seems pretty fresh. Yeah, it has been. Yes, it has been going, and it's still ongoing because apparently it still has not been fixed. Apparently, it will take some time for it to be fixed. Okay. Apparently, there's been a setback. I mean, 500 million gallon of sewer water has been spilled into the river. Potomac River sewage spill still not contained. Could take months to fix. Months, okay? Still not fixed. This is from yesterday. Also, there is a blizzard. So there's gonna be a lot of frozen sewage water. So just so we're clear. There's gonna be a lot of frozen shit. There's gonna be a lot of frozen piss in the river. So if you live near the Potomac River, then I feel sorry for you. If you're planning to swim there, if you're planning a nice little trip with friends, family, etc., with your dog, then probably don't. Probably cancel your plans. Okay? A roughly 300 million gallon sewage spill into the Potomac River, which environmental advocates say rivals the scale of the Deepwater Horizon oil disaster. Great. Yeah. Could take several months. Could take several more months to fully clean up after a major sewer line collapse, according to University of Maryland, College Park researchers, utility officials, and Potomac River Keep Network. And again, nobody's talking about it. Everybody's being hush-hush, okay, about this huge environmental disaster. Insanity, I tell you. The January 19th rupture of sewage line inside the C&O Canal National Historical Park has sent repeated discharges of untreated wastewater into the river. What caused it? Do we still, after all this time, we still don't know what caused it, and prompted, at least I know now that it was, it all started in a national historical park. Prompted health advisories in Montgomery, Prince George, and Charles counties, warning residents to avoid affected areas. Officials said drinking water across the region remains safe because the break occurred downstream of active water intakes. Thank God. What a situation that would be if all of that drinking water would be contaminated. Now that would be just a national crisis, wouldn't it? If the drinking water would actually get contaminated. Yeah, if it was just from old age, then what happened to, maintenance? Are you saying that the richest country in the world cannot afford maintenance? Is that what's happening? Hold on. Okay. Trump defunded a lot of maintenance, if I remember correctly. Wait, really? Lucy, national adverse for infrastructures. Oh, God. In an interview with The Sun, Dean Nauhaus, the Potomac River Keeper, said that Maryland, D.C., and Virginia need to issue stronger advisories as modeling shows unsafe E. coli levels as far as 40 miles from the initial spill site. Well, good luck with your E. coli. Data from DC Water shows typical E. coli levels in the Potomac River can range from 10 to 5,000 mpn per 100 ml. That stands for most probable number per 100 milliliters of water on January 29th. That number was at 579,000. It has declined in the last few weeks, falling to 242,000, which is a lot above 5,000. as of February 6th, and then to 130,000 as of Sunday. That's still a lot. That's still more than 5,000. Now Hawks said the largest comparable spill he could find was a 230 million gallon sewage spill in 2017 along the US-Mexico border near San Diego. This is one of the largest sewage spills in US history. We're talking almost 300 million gallons and counting. So it will definitely hit this record of being the biggest spill in US history. Okay? It's gonna be the biggest one now. It's just... wow. Incredible. Despite the size of the spill, scientists said impacts beyond the Potomac watershed may be limited because pollution will dilute as the river flows into the Chesapeake Bay and Atlantic Ocean. Well, I guess only Virginia and Marylanders are screwed then. The Potomac River will take the brunt of it, said Steve Taylor of the Maryland Coastal Bay Program. I guess Ocean City is safe then. Okay, that's a consolation. Okay, I guess the Ocean City trips will not be cancelled. Hooray! People will be able to still enjoy their beach time and their little houses and crabs and stuff. That's good. I guess that's good news. I guess that's a silver lining. Weather conditions have actually helped. Okay, that's another silver lining. Frozen poop has saved the situation. One benefit, Nauhawk said, is that cold temperatures and ice may have created a delayed release. All this stuff is trapped in the ice. There's definitely stuff moving under the ice, where our data shows that we sampled at 8 locations downstream, he said. See, I told you, there's poop in the ice. There's piss in the ice and there's poop in the ice. So winter has saved us. Winter has come and it has saved Maryland. All that is changing now as the temperatures rise and ice begins to melt. Uh-oh. That's why Nauhawks is pushing for a quicker, more involved response to address the situation before it gets worse. Or Trump could fire more workers, so the situation will be dealt even slower. Officials from DC Water Utility said beyond the initial incident, additional accidents have complicated the situation, causing more wastewater to spill into the Potomac. The latest example happened Sunday as multiple bypass pumps clogged by non-flushable wipes. Whoa, what the fuck? I have to read that again. The latest example happened Sunday as multiple bypass pumps clogged by non-flushable wipes were taken out of service for cleaning. The utility experienced a high flow period at the same time, with significantly more wastewater coming through than expected. Preliminary estimates show several 100,000 gallons spilled during that event alone. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Crews are installing additional bypass pumps and building new upstream and downstream access points so workers can place a bulkhead and remove rock blockage from repairing the damaged pipe. That's the most time-consuming piece, as heavy machinery will need to be brought in from our state. DC Water officials said the company is also preparing an environmental restoration plan and plans to continue water quality sampling. I mean, it wasn't caused by the wipes. but the wipes contributed to the problem by clogging. That is what I understand to be the issue. The issue was not the issue was not the core problem. The issue was not the main cause of this thing, okay? The issue was not the main culprit. The tissues were not the main culprit. DC water officials said the company is also preparing an environmental restoration plan and plans to continue water quality sampling. How much of wildlife was affected by this, I wonder? How many fish have died, etc.? How many animals got poisoned from that water? Like I don't think those are trivial questions. I don't think it's I don't think it's a non sequitur. What's being done? Maryland Department of the... I'm actually going to look it up. I'm actually going to Google how much was wildlife affected by this leak, because I don't know, it feels like a big thing that nobody talks about. Nobody cares about the environment, I guess, in reality. Maryland Department of the Environment spokesman Jay Apperson said state, federal, and local agencies have inspected the site and coordinated monitoring. He again emphasized that no Maryland drinking water supplies are affected. Thank God. Jesus Christ. There are quite a few nice people living in Maryland, you know. There are no active drinking water intakes in Maryland that would be affected by this sewer line break and resulting overflow, Apperson said. As a precaution, Apperson said Maryland and also closed shellfish harvesting areas along part of the lower Potomac River from the Port Tobacco River region to the U.S. Route 301 bridge. Health advisories were issued in Montgomery, Prince George's, and Charles counties, and anglers and hunters were warned to avoid contaminated areas. A person said the state is also aware of the E. coli testing by DC Water. DC Water said elevated bacteria levels remain near the locked-in area. So downstream samples generally show declining contamination within federal standards. Apperson said, adding the state is coordinating on a water monitoring plan. He added that winter weather has complicated repairs. While it has slowed progress of the contamination, snow and extreme cold have hindered multiple planned repair operations, but everything is being done as fast as possible. Well, so the weather is not helping all the way. The weather is also screwing things up. The weather is also slowing things down. It's not just shines, I don't know, it's not just rainbows and sunshine with poop being trapped in the ice. It also affects the repair effort, right? It's not all good. It's not all wonderful as like many people thought. Despite the work, environmental groups say residents should take precautions, blah, blah, blah. People want to know the river is safe. Potomac Riverkeeper Network President Betsy Nicholas said, right now the Potomac River is not safe. It is far from safe. I want to know, because nobody seems to care about that, and I have to do some investigative journalism now. Effect of Potomac River sewage spill on wildlife. There you go. Final cost, impact of on wildlife unknown in Potomac spill. There you go. Finally, somebody cares about the wildlife. Okay, we're gonna do a very... Where is it? Where is it? What the hell? Oh, God. Five animals impacted by sewage. But that's on all, that's from years ago. Okay? Potomac sewage spill sparks health concerns. Okay, there you go. Maybe they will mention animals. As I understand it, they're probably going to just talk about human health, but maybe they will mention also animals. Following one of the largest sewage spills in U.S. history, University of Maryland researchers have detected high levels of fecal-related bacteria and disease-causing pathogens in the Potomac River. No kidding. 500 million gallons of sewage water. Yeah, of course you're gonna detect pathogens and disease-causing pathogens, of course. Raising urgent public health concerns and underscoring the risks posed by aging sewer infrastructure. Yeah, it was old age. No maintenance. Congratulations. Let's just keep the infrastructure forever and never ever do any maintenance. That will end well. That will definitely not end in an environmental disaster. The United States is the richest country in the world. Richest country in the world. Okay? I just cannot believe this. God. Untreated raw sewage, yeah. Let's see. Water sample results collected at the site by researchers show high levels of E. coli are present along with Staphylococcus aureus, the bacteria that causes staph infections, an antibiotic-resistant strain. Oh, okay, that's cool. A bacteria that is resistant to antibiotics is here, okay? Welcome. The future is now. Oh, you're gonna get a bacterial infection? Well, don't worry. These ones are antibiotic resistant. Also identified at the site of the sewage overflow. So, great. Amazing. This is what happens when when you're too cheap to do maintenance. People coming into contact with the impacted water or land are at risk of becoming infected with these bacteria, which can lead to serious health conditions, said Dr. Rachel Rosenberg Goldstein, microbiologist and assistant professor at UMD's Department of Global Environmental and Occupational Health. Although most people are not swimming in the frozen river in February, bacteria can survive in freezing temperatures and become active again when temperature rises. I sincerely hope nobody's going to be insane enough. Oh, wow, the river is not frozen anymore. I'm just gonna go for a swim. God damn, I hope nobody's gonna swim in that river anytime soon. I bet there's gonna be some idiot that will, though. There's always that one person that will decide to swim in the river. It's some kind of dare. It's some kind of challenge. I'm gonna swim in the shitty waters of Maryland, and then they're gonna get ill. You'll see. You'll see. We're gonna see news about people getting sick from this. 100% that's gonna happen. I don't have faith in humanity. I have zero faith in humanity. Results include E. coli bacteria. On January 21st, water samples from where sewage entered the Potomac River were over 10,000 times above EPA recreational water quality standards. On January 28th, samples at the site were lower, but still over 2,500 times above water quality standards. At site over 10 miles downstream from the sewage overflow. On January 28th, E. coli were 1.5 times above that standard. Staphylococcus aureus. This is the one that is resilient to antibiotics. On January 21st and 28th, the pathogen was detected at the site where sewage entered the Potomac and at a site 9 miles away. Of the sites sampled, 33% were positive for S. aureus, higher than found in other surface waters containing this bacteria. An antibiotic-resistant strain of S. aureus, MRSA, was also identified at the site of the sewage overflow. So don't go there, please. Health Secretary swimming in sewer runoff to promote... what? Wow. I don't know what to say to that. So yeah, don't go to Potomac River for now, for the foreseeable future. At least for within the next few months, you should not be anywhere near that river, okay? Promise me that you will not do it. Promise me you will not go swim in that river. Out of an abundance of caution, people near the spill site in Maryland, Washington, D.C., and downstream should avoid contact with impacted river, water, and land until E. coli... wait, hold on. Impacted river and land. That guy from the YouTube video, he just went there. He just went there without any protection whatsoever. The land is impacted as well. It's just people are very reckless. That guy that went to the site directly also was pretty reckless, I guess. I guess he's not afraid of getting E. coli. E. coli levels meet water quality standards again, says Goldstein. For people who come into contact with impacted water or soil, she recommends washing skin with soap and water or an alcohol-based sanitizer, and laundering clothes with detergent at the warmest temperature and machine dry. Well, I guess one person took it for the team and risked getting antibiotic-resistant bacteria. One person decided to take one for the team. The team's testing began after hundreds of millions of gallons of sewage gushed from a broken pipe into the Potomac River on January 19th. Goldstein's Water Quality Outreach and Wellness Lab, wow, went directly to the source and other sites downriver to test the water for fecal-related bacteria and pathogens. Shortly afterward, the team returned 1 week later, working with members of the Potomac River Keep Network, PRKN, to make more samples. The results analyzed by the WOW lab point to major public health concerns and highlight the risk of crumbling sewer infrastructure. Well, that is reassuring that the US has a crumbling sewer infrastructure. That, technically speaking, means that we can just expect more of this to happen throughout the United States. Right now, this is the biggest spill in the history of the United States. But you know what? Anything can happen. If the entire infrastructure is crumbling, then we might expect more breaches like this to happen. And that is to put it lightly, very concerning. Up to 75,000 sewage overflows happen every year in the United States, according to UMD's water emergency team, exposing residents to raw sewage, waterborne pathogens, and possibly antibiotic-resistant bacteria. This is the biggest concern, by the way. The antibiotic-resistant bacteria are the biggest concern. The effects are serious, including illness such as bacterial infections that can cause serious illness and death. The overflows can also raise feelings of anxiety. Yeah, I'd be pretty anxious if I knew that in my neighborhood sewage spilled into the river and released antibiotic-resistant bacteria. Yeah, that would raise my anxiety level, I guess. Goldstein and Dr. Marcus D. Hendricks, Associate Professor of Urban Studies and Environmental Planning at UMD, co-lead the WET project, a UMD Grant Challenges awardee and joint venture between the WOW Lab and the Stormwater Infrastructure Resilience and Justice Lab. WET was developed as community-driven rapid response to sewer overflows and backups in underserved African American communities in Baltimore and surrounding region. So, yeah, I guess Baltimore affected. West's earlier research showed that marginalized urban communities are often most vulnerable to sewage overflows, and along with the physical effects, these overflows can contribute to stigma and feelings of disfranchisement and in the communities. By the way, please do not do any ice fishing for the foreseeable future, okay? On that river. If you are a Marylander, I would advise you against ice fishing. Okay? Definitely don't do that in Maryland right now. Studies by Hendricks SIRJ Lab in Washington, D.C. shows that above-ground development in the city has outpaced stormwater and sewer infrastructure development, likely straining the capacity of already outdated systems. Holy shit. I just cannot believe this. I thought that was a Russia problem. I genuinely thought, look at those exploding fountains of shit in Russia. Russia is such a silly place. I cannot believe Russia is such a backwater, shitty country. No, pun very much intended. And now I'm reading about a crumbling US sewage infrastructure and the biggest spill in the history of the country happening in my favorite state. That is very, very concerning. That is the most concerning thing ever. Investment, maintenance, and rehabilitation of drainage and other water resources infrastructure have been slow, and the effects of this are clear. In this Potomac sewage spill, Hendricks said, national reporting has consistently shown over time that water resources infrastructure, such as stormwater and sewer systems, are underfunded compared to other essential systems like transportation. And then you have incidents like this. Wow. Despite bipartisan efforts to invest and update infrastructure, such as the 2021 bipartisan infrastructure law and provisions in the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act, Hendricks say it is likely that incidents similar to the Potomac spill will continue to happen at various scales due to the underfunding and the enormity of the job. Holy shit. Yeah, who cares about super bacteria roaming, right? So who cares about bacteria that are immune to antibiotics roaming the land? We gotta save some money. Dodge is on the case. Maybe Dodge should fire some people that take care of maintenance. This issue isn't going away, is not going away. Solving the recent Potomac spill is not a simple one-time fix. We need significant and ongoing investment in system upgrades and maintenance, said Hendricks. And by the way, the United States is not naturally connected to water everywhere, just so you know. Okay? There are places that depend on river flows, that depend on dams, etc., in order to actually have water at all. So some of these spills, some of these disasters due to low maintenance might actually cause certain US cities to be screwed, completely screwed, and no access to water. God damn. The WoW Lab team and Pierre Kian, a nonprofit working to protect the right to clean water in the Potomac and Shenandoah watersheds. Oh god, that team must have had the worst time of their life. We're fighting for the Potomac River to be clean when half a oh my god, millions of gallons of untreated sewer found its way into the Potomac River. That had to be not a nice time. Work together to increase the number and sites of water samples tested. They continue to take water and soil samples in the area. The WET project regularly works directly with community organizations and neighborhood associations with a commitment to sharing lab research findings with affected communities and local policymakers. Holy crap. Shout out to LA for building their mega city in the little driest place over, so they have to drain the entire state's aquifer to just, yeah, LA. Well, I believe there was a whole water war over LA water, but that's, I don't know, maybe I'll make that one of my little essays for Patreon. The history of American water wars. And that is actually very interesting history. Wars were fought over water in the United States. Think on that, okay? Think of that in the context of maintenance of sewers being underfunded and millions of gallons of shitty water being pumped into rivers. The fact that literal wars were fought in the US over access to water. The WET project, led by the UMD School of Public Health and School of Architecture Planning and Preservation, is one of 16 UMD Grant Challenges Team grants that provide 3 years of funding to research teams seeking solutions to the grand challenges of our time. Well, America not caring about its infrastructure, environment, and human life and safety and health, I would count those as important challenges of our time. Well, we've started on a strong note, I guess. Hold on. I want to know Trump administration response to Potomac River sewage spill. Jesus Christ Almighty. "4 hours ago, Potomac River sewage still not contained. 2 hours ago from the Washington Examiner. As work progresses at site, we are working to develop cleanup and remediation plans. Oh. Hold on. There was an error. What the hell? There was an error in the reporting about this whole crap. DC Water says a cola rate from Potomac sewage spill 100 times higher than reported. Well, okay. I guess we're learning about this situation in real time, huh? Yeah. Amazing. Okay. So I read initial news. It was bad. And then I read more information and it was worse than I initially thought. But now I'm reading that actually it was all misreported and it's far worse than everybody thought. Wonderful. I think there's a video here. Oh, come on. Don't give me that ad crap. I'll have to cut it out. Yes, yes.
Director Kash Patel released images of a possible suspect in the
What? This is not related to this.
disappearance of Nancy Guthrie.
Okay, let's forget about that. That video was not related. Washington, D.C.'s Water and Sewer Authority significantly miscalculated the level of E. coli coming from a sewer line channel on Friday after a late January pipe collapse caused increased levels of the bacteria in the Potomac River. Yeah, this is from yesterday. This is new news. On Friday, February 6th, DC Water initially reported levels of E. coli at 2,420 mpn per 100 milliliters. Then changed it to the actual level of E. coli present, 242,000 per 100 milliliter, which is 9,900% higher than the initial report. The numbers came from a drainage channel at Swanson Island, adjacent to Cabin John, Maryland, in the Potomac River. What the fuck? We identified the human error through internal review, corrected it immediately, and updated the information as soon as it was confirmed. Sampling and monitoring have continued, DC Water wrote on X in response to the discrepancy. That's a pretty big discrepancy, okay? The numbers are related to the January 19th collapse of a section of the Potomac Interceptor sewer line at a specific overflow point by Swanson Island. The collapse of part of the 54-mile sewer line led to a spike in E. coli in the surrounding area, DC Water said. Its crews and contractors began work immediately. It's crews. And contractors began work immediately to construct a bypass to contain the overflow, which was completed on January 24th. As work progresses at the site, we are working to develop cleanup and remediation plans, which remain in the early stages and will be focused on immediately impacted areas such as the canal, drainage channels, and portions of the Potomac River, DC, Water said in a statement. I guess I did not expect this. I did not expect to be genuinely did not expect to, I don't know, to give this so much time. But I guess we're just learning about it as we go. The discrepancy in Friday's numbers came after DC Water had initially said the E. coli rate from the sewage spill was trending downward. It's not, I guess. It's all bad. A further overflow of the line occurred on Sunday, February 8th, after the Friday spike. DC Water said it was still calculating the exact amount of E. coli from the Sunday overflow, but preliminary estimates indicate several 100,000 gallons of wastewater overflowed. You know what? Yeah, I repeat, don't go ice fishing in Maryland. Okay, don't go ice fishing in the Potomac River. It's worse. It's worse than we all thought. Okay. The overflow event occurred when multiple pumps were out of service for required cleaning and maintenance after becoming clogged by non-disposable wipes that were flushed into the system. Wow. Again, this reduction in pumping capacity coincided with a high flow period in the sewer system contributing to the event, DC Water said in a statement. Well, again, I guess don't go ice fishing to the Potomac River and don't flush your wipes. That's my advice for this segment. It's gonna get worse, of course, because we live in our planet. We live in the current year, 2026. It is only going to get worse before it gets any better. Okay. Oh my God. Oh my God. Any questions? Do you have any questions for your favorite streamer, Lucy Hazza, regarding this event that is happening far, far away from where I live? You're tired? Don't be tired. We still have so many news to go through. How long was this sewage segment? I'm actually curious how much time I've dedicated to the sewage thing. Hold on. Also, you're welcome. It only took a fucking drama YouTuber to break the news on this. Listen, it took a drama YouTuber and a Polish person that lives on the other side of the globe. Yeah, it seems like we have dedicated an hour to this. We have dedicated a full hour to the topic of the biggest sewage spill in American history. I think I did it justice. Okay? I don't think I did any shit steering. I don't think I was shitty about this. Okay? I don't think I flung any shit at anybody. I did not, blame anybody. If anything, I guess I could, I don't know, shit hit the fan, etc., etc. It's not good. The situation is not good. But what am I, like, I'm so baffled by this situation that could have been avoided with simple maintenance. And apparently the United States is too poor. Apparently the United States just cannot afford up shit creek without a paddle. Yeah, it's just, what the hell is happening? Or what the hell, United States of America? Again, when I was sent the video about the shitty water, when I was told, oh, this is a segment for you, shitty water, I was like, what, more Russia? We already talked about this. Yeah. Sewage stuff is exploding in Russia and there is shitty fountains in Russia. We already know. And then I saw, wait, this is in the United States. This is not in Russia. What gives? But maintenance is gay, Lucy, said Malaki. No, it's not. Come on. Maintenance is not gay, okay? Okay, I'm gonna take two. Hold on, I have to do something real quick. Uh, all right. Oh my god. Very aggressive antivirus commercials. Okay. I've sent all right. Of course it's super gay. It's not gay. How do you explain every single gay people I know wash their butt? That's a good point. Okay, let's continue with this. I've just been hit with some very aggressive oh my god. What? What the hell? Apparently one of those news sites is a site for adults with illegal things that is full of viruses. Great. This is what I get for trying to get to the bottom of a story. All right. Oh my god. All right. Any additional questions before we move on to the next thing? Oh my god. Ah. Oh my god. One of the news sites has given me apparently 10,000 viruses. And now I'm being flooded with demands of a scan. God. Yeah, I love Windows as well. One of the news sites that we've visited about the Potomac River, my computer has been infected with shitty stuff just like the Potomac River, okay? Because apparently one of those youth sites was an illegal adult site. Brilliant. Thank you, America. Do I have to restart Chrome? I'm restarting Chrome. There's no way I'm dealing with this nonsense. Uh... Oh my god, do I have to restart it again? No way. Oh my god. Uh,
Okay. Let's buy.
and now I'm having echo problems. No way. Jesus fucking Christ. Get this over with, please. Oh my god. I'm never going to random news sites again. I cannot trust America with this crap. This is going to be interrupting my stream, isn't it? Great. Holy crap. This is so invasive. All right. Holy shit. Well, I'm not gonna do that now. Oh my gosh. Okay, I have to clear the browser cache now because of this aggressive crap. Mm. Sorry. Now I guess we're doing this now. We're doing maintenance. Mm. Okay, that should fix it. I hope. Didn't help at all. The pop-ups are still popping. This is so annoying. I swear to God. Oh no. I still get those pop-ups. Yeah, it happened just minutes ago. After I went to the news site. I started crapping out those pop-ups. Hmm. What? Did that work? Maybe it worked. Are we back? Oh God, this is so annoying. Is anybody still here after this whole ordeal? Anybody still with me? I went to the bathroom. Oh. Um. Well, let's just say that I went to a news site and suddenly I started getting 50,000 pop-ups for antivirus software. So I had to clear cache and everything from the browser. All right, I guess we can continue. Then. Brilliant. Oh no. Oh yes. Very much yes. One moment. Listen, we did a very big segment on the poop, okay? We did a very shitty segment, so I needed to be punished for that, I suppose. I guess I needed to be punished for my hubris. Okay, let's go to bookmarks and let's look at some tweets. I'm gonna show you something. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm gonna talk about this, okay? Let me see if I can find it in the news. There was this debacle with the American ambassador, which said that the Polish politician from the parliament is insulting Trump because he said that he does not deserve the Peace Prize, the Nobel Peace Prize. So he said that the American ambassador said that America will cut off all relations with that politician. And then Polish Prime Minister defended him by saying, hey, we are allies. We shouldn't be just scolding or reprimanding each other. And then the American ambassador said, oh, you know what, Prime Minister of Poland, I'm just going to assume that you sent this to me by mistake. Because, screw you. Nobody insults Trump. And then to add cherry on top of this whole debacle, a random Polish Twitter user said, get out of our country. Get out of our country. We really like our sovereignty. And the American ambassador answered by saying, well, you want us to leave? We're going to take our troops and equipment with us. And then there was a interview with a Polish newspaper where the ambassador kind of just dug in. Let me see. American ambassador interview with Polish newspaper. I hope this will be it. I guess we're going to... There you go. Okay, we're gonna go through this page, which hopefully will not recreate what happened just now. U.S. ambassador refuses to say how Polish speaker insulted Trump. And the answer is the Polish speaker insulted Trump by saying that he does not deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. That is exactly how the American president was insulted. The U.S. ambassador to Poland has given his first interview since sparking a diplomatic row by cutting ties with the Speaker of the Polish Parliament over his outrageous insults against President Donald Trump. Outrageous insults. However, when asked in the interview to specify what these insults were, the ambassador Thomas Rose refused to say. He also sought to emphasize that the US remains Poland's best ally and greatest friend. Okay. Oh. We will not tolerate scandalous and horrible, outrageous insults. Rose's decision last week to cut all contact with Włodzimierz Czarzasty, the Speaker of the Sejm, the more powerful lower house of parliament, followed Czarzasty's refusal to support Trump's Nobel Peace Prize nomination, which, okay, listen, fair, okay? I'm gonna say fair. He does not deserve the prize, he does not deserve the nomination, and everybody around the world should not be polishing Donald Trump's you know what, okay? In a speech announcing that decision, Czarzasty had accused Trump of destabilizing international organizations, which is true, and often violating international law, which is true. He also criticized Trump's recent suggestion that NATO allies had not provided the United States with frontline support, which caused anger in Poland, where many soldiers died in Iraq and Afghanistan. Well, too bad. In response, Rose accused Czarzasty of making outrageous and unprovoked insults directed against President Trump and said that the US would have no further dealings, contacts, or communications with him. There was I hope the article mentions this, but this becomes really ridiculous. The US has cut all contacts with the Speaker of Poland's parliament because of his outrageous insults against President Trump. In response, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk told the US ambassador that allies should respect and not lecture each other. On Tuesday, Rzeczpospolita, a leading daily published extracts from an interview with Rose, the full version of which will be released on Wednesday. When it was put to him that Czarzasty had simply said that Trump did not deserve the Nobel Peace Prize, Rose responded, "That's not all he said. Everyone can reread it. I don't need to repeat it. I've said enough about it. I've made my point. We will not accept or tolerate outrageous insults against our president." Pushed to specify which part of Czarzasty's remarks he considered to be a personal attack on Trump, Rose refused, saying, "You can ask me the same questions 25 times and you'll get the same answer." Every Pole, of course, has the right to share their opinions, but we also have the right to respond to those opinions, he added. This is so ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. When pressed on why he cut ties with Czarzasty, while the US maintains relations with other controversial figures, including Russian President Vladimir Putin, Rose said, "I don't need to explain it." There we go. This is the US attitude towards its allies, okay? We're just cutting ties. You insulted our president. Oh, we keep ties with other controversial figures? Well, we don't need to explain it. We don't need to explain anything. The ambassador was also asked about a recent poll showing that over half of Poles no longer see US as a reliable ally. Rose described the results as regrettable, more so for Poland than for America. Because America doesn't care. America can keep its status as the most powerful country, unfortunately, even if it gets overrun by fascists. And it doesn't care if other countries see it as a reliable ally or not. The United States do not care. I'm convinced that most Poles know that we are Poland's best ally, Poland's greatest friend, he added. Therefore, I'm not overly concerned by the results of this poll because ultimately we remain partners and allies. Yeah, who cares about what the people think? I know better. I know better than the people. A majority in Poland believe the US is no longer a reliable ally, finds new poll, because guess what? The US is no longer a reliable ally. That is a fact. That is a factual statement, and I would probably answer the same if I was part of that poll. I would definitely also say that the United States is not a reliable partner. No more. A number of recent surveys have indicated that Poles, normally among the most pro-American Europeans, have much more negative views of the US since Donald Trump's return. Well, he did start to deport Polish people. You have to remember that. Donald Trump did start to mass deport Polish people as well, which is interesting because he was fighting tooth and nail for the Polish vote, but whatever. That is the reward that you get for, I guess, being loyal to Donald Trump. This is the extent to which this kind of loyalty is being rewarded, gets rewarded. Although Prime Minister Donald Tusk immediately jumped to the defense of Czarzasty, who is part of his ruling coalition, following Rose's remarks, the Foreign Ministry has so far avoided taking a position on the dispute. Speaking to the Dziennik Gazeta Prawna daily on Monday, Minister spokesman Maciej Wiewiór said that they would not be summoning the ambassador for talks, but that Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski would meet with Thomas Rose sooner or later. Yeah, that is the sad reality of the situation as well, that Poland, kind of, sort of, I'm surprised that Czarzasty even called out Trump's bad behavior, but Poland just cannot afford to be on the United States' bad side. It just cannot. Meanwhile, Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz, who serves as Deputy Prime Minister and Defense Minister, announced that he would today be meeting with Rose for talks on many substantive issues. He insisted that the United States is a very serious partner and we will always sincerely respect each other, reports the Polish press agency. This kind of does speak about how Trump just demands complete loyalty from allies, blind loyalty, no matter what he does, and that there are certain countries in which all politicians are not aligned. There is a split. There's no uniformity, and you will get some opinions from politicians that will not show that blind loyalty. The far-right parties in Poland do show that blind loyalty, though. There is a clear split in the political spectrum in Poland when it comes to attitudes towards Trump. Meanwhile, one figure from within Tusk's ruling coalition even voiced criticism of Czarzasty this week. See? There's this split. Marek Sawicki told broadcaster RFM that Czarzasty should have consulted the foreign ministry before making his comments about Trump, and in general should think 3 times before he says something. Sawicki is a senior figure in the center-right Polish People's Party. See? The right wing will show a lot more loyalty to Trump in Poland, which has often had an uneasy relationship with Czarzasty's party, the left, Lewica, despite both being members of the ruling coalition. See? This explains everything. The Speaker of the Parliament that insulted Trump is a leftist, okay? He is within the ruling coalition. And the person that criticized them for insulting Trump is from the right wing, also from the coalition, because the current ruling coalition actually has people from the center, people from the right, and people from the left. It's a very weird coalition that has been just put together in order to combat the far right party, Law and Justice. It's a long story, but let's just say that this ruling coalition has its problems. It has its issues. By contrast, Sławomir Mencen, one of the leaders of the far-right opposition party Confederation, came to Czarzasty's defense. Okay, that is interesting. The fact that Mencen from the far-right party came to Czarzasty's defense, I find interesting. No Americans will tell us who should be the Speaker of the Polish Sejm, Mencen told Radio Z. He called on the foreign ministry to summon Rose and warn him against interfering in our internal affairs. I mean, fair. Fair. What do you think? Do you think the US ambassador was reasonable in attacking the Polish Speaker of the Sejm because he said that Trump did not deserve the Nobel Peace Prize? Do you think that was a reasonable response? Do you think the Polish politicians was in the right? Write in the chat and write in the comments if you happen to watch this as a segment. This was a much shorter commentary because I just, maybe I'll add some thoughts of my own to this whole thing. I think it's ridiculous to expect from politicians outside of the US this blind loyalty. It is very ridiculous for ambassadors of the US to expect partners to be basically MAGA, make America great again. Whatever Trump does, it's good. No criticism allowed. Any criticism is seen as just some form of attack, personal attack on Donald Trump. If you say his international relations policy is not good, well, then I guess you're attacking him as a person, and we will not allow it, and we will cut all ties with these politicians. It's ridiculous. That should not be a thing. But that's the new style of how America conducts its foreign policy. It's based on whether or not you are nice to Trump or not based on actual policy, actual relations, actual negotiating what is politically best for most countries. No, it's all about are you gonna endlessly praise Trump or are you ever going to criticize him? Because if you're going to criticize him ever, it will affect how the United States will deal with you. It's pathetic, quite frankly. Again, it's all about protecting Trump's ego, which was very wounded by the fact that he did not get that Peace Prize. Everybody's just scrambling to fix his ego, starting from trying to give him somebody else's Nobel Prize to nominating him for a new one, which in my mind, it is fair to say, no, he should not be nominated. He does not deserve it. Absolutely not. And you know what? He does not. He did not end 8 wars. In a lot of them, the fighting still continues. He does treat Greenland as a bargaining chip. He does do brute force threatening tactics. He started new conflicts. And of course, he was not able to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours like he promised. He absolutely does not deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. And also, it is very embarrassing for a US ambassador to be arguing with a random Twitter user. That's double the embarrassment. Okay? It's just double the embarrassment. These are my thoughts on the matter. Any questions? As I feel like the chat disappeared during my little technical break. Who is Richard Gilmore? Dead internet despot. I'm being recommended so many strange content creators. I've got a heart from Dr. Jones. So at least Dr. Jones is still here. Any questions about the debacle with the US ambassador? Do you agree or disagree? Give me your thoughts. I feel like I wasn't the most passionate when I talked about the sewer spill. That was me at my most passionate. I guess we will continue then. Oh. All right. I got caught on. There's a few other topics I want to talk about today. That was one of them. Oh yeah. I guess ice could be the next subject since we've warned against ice fishing, so I guess I could do ice. There's one more. Oh, we don't care about Poland's. Minister insists Polish-US security ties won't change despite Trump ambassador's little outbursts, I guess. Oh yeah, we're going to be talking about this. I guess this is also a topic near and dear to my heart. The dehumanization and horrible treatment of immigrants, refugees, asylum seekers, the proto-genocide in the works that already I have been talking about this years ago. I went to a conference that was titled The Wasted Lessons of the Holocaust. It was about various genocides brewing around the world. And one of the speakers talked about the treatment of asylum seekers around the world, or rather mistreatment of asylum seekers around the world, be it in the United States, Europe, basically mainly in those places, the United States and Europe, and drew a parallel of how Jewish people, before the implementation of the final solution, were treated, how they were trapped in the so-called no man's lands, how they were similarly dehumanized across the globe, not just by the Nazis, but also by the countries that refused to accept them when they tried to run away from the Nazis, when they were trapped either in the so-called no man's land. A no man's land is a strip of land that is between the two borders of countries, a neutral strip of land. And that is where people were trapped, and that is where many asylum seekers and refugees are trapped right now, for example, in Poland. And also many Jewish people were just turned away, straight up. The United States turned away many Jewish people that tried to run away from the Nazi regime, and how those people ended up, we all know. And by drawing this parallel, the speaker at the conference that I attended made the point that all the infrastructure, all the necessary things to commit a genocide against asylum seekers, refugees, is in place, which is why he called it a proto-genocide. It means that everything is ready to actually do it, and that all it would take is to flip the proverbial switch and a genocide would be committed against those people. And in this climate of violence, in this climate of fear-mongering against refugees and asylum seekers, in this structural demonizing, dehumanization, EU lawmakers greenlight tougher asylum rules, which I don't think I have to explain, that it just contributes to the problem. That is just a way to contribute to a problem and to deepen a humanitarian crisis. European lawmakers approved changes to the European Union asylum system on Tuesday, paving the way for fast-track asylum rejections and the possible transfer of asylum seekers to countries which they have little or no connection, underlining the rise in anti-immigration politics over the past decade. Yeah, over the past decade is right. And again, this, I already told you, this is moving in a worst possible direction. You have many moving parts, and the current movements of asylum seekers is just one part. The other part is the deterioration of our planet, which, as much as we seem to be forgetting about that, our planet is deteriorating. The global warming did not pause because wars are happening. The global warming did not take a pause because a big fascist became president of the United States and decided to throw away all policy that would protect our planet. In fact, things are worse, and parts of our planet are still becoming increasingly uninhabitable, and we are still looking at an incoming huge wave of people that will try to move somewhere else to be able to live. And that will create a humanitarian crisis, and that will create new waves of refugees, and a tougher stance and a fast track to rejection of asylum will not make things better. It will just lead to tension, it will lead to violence, and it will most surely lead to the brutalization of these people, of dehumanization of these people. We will see more separation of families. We will see more abuse, of course. We will see more abuse of women and children. We will see more of families being separated. I can definitely guarantee you that. I believe there was also forced sterilization in US detention centers. The text, which requires final formal approval from the 27 EU member governments, marks a sharp hardening of EU migration policy that has taken shape since an influx of over 1 million refugees and migrants in 2015 and 16. The move drew heavy criticism from humanitarian groups who said it could lead to human rights violations and a diminution of asylum rights under a 1951 convention that prohibits returns of asylum seekers to countries where they could be in danger. Yeah, I told you, it will lead to abuse, it will lead to violence being directed at those people. 100%. I'm already appalled by the policies of many, many countries when it comes to asylum, when it comes to immigration in general. The fear-mongering, how populations are basically trained to hate all asylum seekers, to treat them as some monsters that came out of prisons and mental asylums. The European Parliament approved changes to the asylum procedures regulation to introduce a list of countries deemed safe to which failed asylum seekers could be returned. The list includes countries such as Egypt and Tunisia, whose human rights records have come under scrutiny. And let's not forget, speaking of refugees, speaking of asylum seekers, let us not forget that England started not accepting Ukrainian refugees, and England started sending Ukrainian refugees away. Why? The justification is, the logic is that Western Ukraine is supposedly safe. We will not accept these refugees. They should be in Western Ukraine. Western Ukraine is safe. Until it's not safe, because Western Ukraine is being bombed regularly as well. People die in Western Ukraine. Okay? Nowhere is safe in Ukraine. But the harsh anti-immigration, harsh anti-asylum laws mean that, for example, many Ukrainians were just refused to be able to seek refuge in England. Because I guess some parts of the war zone just became safe all of a sudden. Safe enough that people can just relax and don't worry about it. Ridiculous. So I don't trust committees that deem certain countries safe, because England has deemed parts of Ukraine to be very, very safe. Under the new rules, EU countries may reject an asylum application if the person could have received protection in a country the bloc considers safe. Risk of prison terms. The new rules will also let EU countries set up return hubs outside the EU, like those established by Italy and in Albania. The changes stem from an EU set of rules and processes for handling migration, known as the Migration Pact, approved in 2023, but not due to be fully implemented until June 2026. Anti-immigration rhetoric has surged throughout the EU since more than 1 million people, mainly from Syria, arrived via the Mediterranean in 2015. That sentiment has boosted public support for right-wing nationalist parties, pushing governments to adopt increasingly restrictive migration policies focused on returns. These new texts represent a further step in the dehumanization of the European Union's migration policy, trampling on fundamental rights and the dignity of individuals, said French Green lawmaker Melissa Camara. Yeah, but those refugees are not really treated as individuals. They're not treated as human. They're treated as political tokens in elections. They're treated as the people that to blame for all the bad things happening, and they are treated as those who you can direct the people's anger at. You can direct the masses to the voting booth and tell them that you will get rid of them when you get elected. That is what it is. The text on safe countries of origin will place hundreds of thousands of people in situations of great danger Third countries will be deemed safe despite an extremely worrying human rights situation. So in other words, all those countries that violate human rights, as long as we don't have to take in asylum seekers, they are safe. It's okay. Maybe some of the rights of those asylum seekers will be violated, but at least they're not unsafe anymore. At least they're not here. At least we don't have to deal with them. At least we don't have to give them asylum. It's horrible. And the worst part is that many, through a very concentrated effort, through a lot of propaganda, a lot of citizens are on board with that. A lot of citizens very much by the populist lies that are spread about asylum seekers regularly. Just think of Trump's rhetoric. Think of Trump's rhetoric. Think of white replacement theory. Think of all those conspiracy theories that talk of Europe not being Europe anymore, of Europe losing its culture, its identity. Think of all that and you will get a picture as to what is happening. And I think it is highly regrettable. It is highly regrettable that Europe is moving in the way of dehumanization rather than seeking better ways of ensuring the safety of asylum seekers. I think that is highly regrettable. But, there's not much you can do apart from trying to push back against said rhetoric. There's not really much that you can do apart from that. It is what it is. We are staring at a barrel of a proto-genocide. Always looming. Always looming. All right, we did some solid segments tonight. There are still some things that I would like to talk about, but we will get over them tomorrow. For now, we will end. Thank you. Whew. All right. I cannot raid anywhere with this channel, so I guess I will finish for tonight. I will see you all tomorrow. Yeah. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.